professional parts washer really, I suppose. I decided this time to do voiceover instead rather than messing about with audio in the shed. I thought I'd start working on the bike, trying to get it back together, then I'm not all over the place with it. If I just try and get it back together, it might give me some more motivation. So here I am removing the old headstock, and I've always wanted a parts washer. And I thought, do I really need a dishwasher in the kitchen? Not particularly, so I brought it in the workshop. So I'm not going to use any detergents or anything like that, obviously, because it contains salt and corrode everything. But the wiring harness is full of oil, and so is all the old headstock and stuff. So they usually come out pretty clean with steam and hot water. It dries as well, so that's always pretty good. So I thought I'd start by knocking the old ball bearing races out. And yes, if you see, I am using a claw hammer. I hate it myself, but my tools were stolen a year or two ago, so haven't managed to buy one yet, but it does the job, I suppose. I'm using a company called All Balls. They do very good stuff. The lower, the upper bearing, the dust covers, and some spacers. Thought I'd have a check to see how it's doing. It's all looking much cleaner already. Here I am tapping the top tapered race in. I started it off with a big socket. And just very, very gently tapped around the edge of the bearing race, and there's a distinct change in sound when it goes home as far down as it needs to be. Just there. So now I know it's in far enough. And then I do the bottom one, slightly more difficult, but I use the old bearing race as sort of a drift to tap it in. And once again, you know how far to go because it changes tone. Everything's come out the dishwasher now. The wiring harness has got rid of all the old oily residue and stuff, so that'll help with soldering. Some of the bigger bits need going over by hand, obviously, but overall it is looking a lot better. It's got rid of most of the grease and shite. I started to put the bottom taper roller bearing on. I put the dust cap on first because it sort of just gently clicks on. I start to work it down with the drift, nice and gently, using an old bearing race as sort of a guide. I cleaned up the threads nicely so they're nice and clean and smooth. And then I started to have a daunting realisation. What exactly is this top headstock that came with the bike, which was on it? They obviously wanted the horrible sit up and beg bars on, and it's not the right one for the bike. You cannot just put a shim in there or whatever, or a bush, and whack a bolt in. You know, your life depends on that, I suppose. So it's not the one for the bike. I'm gonna have to order one. It was at this point I thought, sod it, I might as well just try and get the engine back in and start getting the bike back together loosely, so I can see what I have and haven't got. There's a lot of boxes with a lot of random crap in that's nothing to do with this bike, so I thought I'd get the engine back in loosely, using random bolts. I am missing one or two engine bolts. I've had to make do for now. I'm also missing the swinging arm bolt, but that's understandable because when I got the bike, one of the bushes was completely seized in it. It took so much heat and a press to get it out, so I ended up making my own bushings for the swinging arm out of something from work, which will do the job nicely. I just really struggled to get the engine in, and on this rickety old motocross stand, I'm gonna have to do something about that. it's no good at all. If it slips off, you know, it's knackered. I started to get the bushes and things like that in, so I could get everything lined up. I just wanted to see whether I had all the stuff to get it together, so I could actually get the engine and get the swinging arm on, get the aftermarket shock connected. I decided not to buy an original shock because obviously they're like 30 years old and they'll just be worn out. And I managed to get this one off eBay, which is the same length and the same eyelet size for a 10mm bolt either end. So after blocking the camera successfully a few times, I managed to get it on. The camera keeps stopping recording as well for some reason. I don't know why. I'm going to get a new camera. For the next episode, I want to make sure I've got all the bits and a different camera that's better, that doesn't keep stopping recording. I've lost out on so much. I'm not joking, I just did a quick little montage, a couple of clips, putting the handlebars and the suspension back on temporarily, and the seat, while I did a bit of a voiceover, and the camera lost every single one of them. So for the next episode, I will have a new camera, because that camera no longer exists. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully next time it won't be such a disaster.